Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how are you doing? So we have a full draw, actually that should be filled in now. We have a full draw for the World Cup 2026 in Canada, Mexico and the USA. Obviously, that doesn't include my country of Wales, so I have been quite gutted the last couple of days. I couldn't have done this video even if I wanted to. But we'll come back to that later because we'll talk about all of the playoffs and we'll talk about the very surprising winners of the playoffs in some cases. Some are predictable, some are very surprising. Send out commiserations to some countries and their fans, and we'll talk about the implications of those on the World Cup draw and what I now think is going to happen. So, very quickly, because I think we'll spend most of the video talking about Europe, because there were some really big matches happening and some very shocking results. I think this kind of went as I was expecting it to, though. So Bolivia did beat Suriname, whose manager quit for not automatically qualifying them, which left them on a bit of a back heel. Bolivia did win their first game away from Bolivia in some time, so well done to them. They won 2-1. Paniagua and Terceros with the 2 goals to cancel out Van Gelre. And then Jamaica only 1-0. Cadamartri scored over New Caledonia, which is what I was expecting. And then in the 2 finals, the Democratic Republic of Congo scored after extra time against Jamaica. Twanzebe, on the 100th minute. So they made it harder than it needed to be, but they are back in the World Cup for only their second time as a country. I think they were called Zaire the last time they were in the World Cup. And another returning team who was in the World Cup many years ago is Iraq, and they beat Bolivia 2-1. Alhamdi and Hussein with the 2 goals. So that's what I was expecting, actually. I thought that they were the 2 strongest teams. And yeah, so DR Congo, congrats, welcome back. Iraq, welcome back. So no major surprises for me there. I thought Suriname maybe could have beaten Bolivia, but I was expecting Iraq to win that particular final. Okay, let's go to the crazy playoffs, because it's been a bit of a roller coaster, and some of us are very upset. One of them is me. But actually what I will say is I have since Thursday calmed down a little bit. Let me just sort out the lighting a little bit here. There we are. I don't know why I went all bright. I have calmed down a little bit. If I'd done this video, I literally was laying in bed, couldn't sleep on Thursday night, so upset, and I thought about this video and I thought, oh, I'm going to be so cranky and horrid. So I have chilled out. As Welsh, we are quite bad losers. So massive shout out to Bosnia. I know I've got a couple of subscribers and viewers from Bosnia. Wow, you were absolutely brilliant over the 2 games. Well done. I'll talk about the game in depth in a little bit. I was following the Italy game, but I wasn't watching it, and I was not surprised actually by what happened. So let's go through it one by one. Turkey only just beat Romania 1-0. My Turkish friend tells me that Romania were very defensive. I think the stats back that up. 6 shots, none on target. Only 32% possession. Obviously it was away in Turkey, so it was quite a big ask. But in the end, Ferdi Kadioglu scored from a Arda Güler pass. just before the hour mark, and that was enough to get them through. He said it was quite nervy at times. And then, similar to when we talk about Wales-Ireland, I saw they were 2-0 up, and I thought, oh, there we are, the Ireland are through. They are going to get to the final, and I thought they had a good chance of getting to the World Cup. I said that in my preview video, my sort of early predictions video. I said that Ireland, after their brilliant game, which I watched the whole match against Hungary, I thought, yeah, and I know Evan Ferguson was injured, but Parrott wasn't. So penalty and an own goal, 2-0 up. Immediately pegged back by another penalty. Apparently, I haven't seen it actually. I'm going to talk about some of these results and I haven't watched the videos for them, so excuse me, but I've been a little bit upset and distracted the last couple of days. But I did read about quite a lot of them, and apparently the penalty was just stupidity, like absolute stupidity. And then Krejci, we'll come back to him, he's had a good week, scored, I believe from a header. I saw the header on the 86th minute to take it to extra time. Obviously, whenever you get a team that just scores before the end of the match, all of the momentum is with them, and it went to penalties, and yeah, heartbreak in the penalties. So I'm really sorry for Ireland. They must have thought it was theirs, but Czechia showing quite a lot of resilience. I didn't back them, I've got to be honest. In this particular group I thought Denmark or Republic of Ireland would get through. So I wasn't thinking that Czechia were going to cause a fuss in this particular. I don't think they had a particularly excellent campaign. I certainly don't remember noticing them that much. You know, lost to Faroe Islands, drew with Croatia, that's quite a good one. Hammered by Croatia there. So yeah, they were like okay. 1-0 win over San Marino, 6-0 over Gibraltar. But I didn't expect them to grow as much as they have done. Denmark dispatched North Macedonia quite easily, which I was surprised at. Damsgaard, Isaacson, 2 goals, and Nørgaard with the 4th goal. So I know that obviously their last result, North Macedonia, was against Wales, and they conceded 7. But prior to that, they'd had 2 draws with Belgium. I think it was 0-0 and 1-1. And at this stage, 4 years ago, they obviously put out Italy 1-0. So I was thinking that they would do a bit better, but Denmark obviously showing some of their quality here with 20 shots on goal against just 3 with none on target for the away team, whose defence seems to be a lot shakier all of a sudden than it was. And then Northern Ireland with the impossible job. I think the only positive thing that I heard really was that, I mean, they played tidily, and obviously I saw them play Wales in a friendly on Tuesday, and they looked solid, particularly for such a young squad. There's a big future ahead of this Northern Ireland team, but it was always going to be a big ask. Weirdly, they didn't play in Milan. I don't know why they didn't play Milan in the Giuseppe Meazza San Siro, but they decided to play in Atalanta Stadium instead. And apparently the first half was quite nervy, but then Tonali scored and set up Moise Kean. So they were into the final. Northern Ireland didn't really manage to lay a glove on them, but what's to be expected, it was Italy at home, so no shame there at all. However, it wasn't like this commanding display. Poland beat Albania 2-1. I think, yeah, Albania were 1-0 up at one point. Lewandowski and Zielinski with the quality to get 2 goals. Back into it, I thought Poland would qualify from this particular bracket, so I wasn't shocked. I was very shocked to see Albania go up. But it does suit their style of football, Albania counter-attacking, Poland the home team, so they're expected to attack. Normally Poland also like to counter-attack, so I guess it took them a while to figure out how to do that, but they got through. And then a very topsy-turvy game. Right, let's try and go through this. So Slovakia went 1-0 up. Actually, it's easier if I do it this way. Slovakia 1-0 up, 1-1, then 2-1 to Slovakia, then 2-2 then 3, then 4, 2, and then 3-4. So someone, I thought Slovakia would win this match. I didn't put anything against Kosovo because they're a good team. But look at that, 20 shots on goal, 8 on target, 3 goals. But Kosovo with 9 shots on target, 9 shots in total, 5 of which are on target, and 4 goals. Wow, that's insane. So they put Slovakia out, which I was surprised at. And I thought Ukraine would put out Sweden. I think they would have if they'd played last November. But Ukraine had an enormous amount of injuries. No Dovbyk, quite a lot of players missing. If you look at their starting lineup, they do have a few big names still there, like Zabarny, Trubin, Tsigankov, but Mikolenko, but some of them missing. Does it say, or sometimes it says who's injured? Squad. No, it doesn't in this case. So yeah, that was very unfortunate for them, and obviously having to play in Spain, I think they played in, and the time this, I'm not saying Graham Potter's been working with this team because obviously they haven't had an international, but they have, for example, had a bit of time to think about what he wants to do after the last couple of matches, and despite finishing, last in their qualifying group, or last but one, they managed to get through past Ukraine 3-1 with 3 goals from Victor Gyökeres. Oh, and I suppose I'll have to talk about it. Oh, God. So obviously I've already up front said well done to Bosnia. They have got past Wales, and we'll talk about them. Obviously you know already that they beat Italy. They're in the World Cup, and I don't think that many of us are super shocked at that, because we know that they have a lot of quality. Their players play right across Europe in all the big leagues, lots in Italy, lots in Germany. They've got some real quality, and they've got a manager who likes to play mind games as well. Sergei Babarez was sort of being a bit silly about a few things before the matches, both against Italy and Wales. But they had, an away game, and we are much higher than them in the world rankings. And at points we were all over them. If we had any one of our past top strikers, Mark Hughes, Ian Rush, John Hartson even, we'd be fine. We'd be absolutely fine. But at the minute, with Kiefer Moore injured as well, and he's in his 30s now, we just don't have a striker. And Mark Harris came off the bench because we were playing David Brooks up front, and he was absolutely amazing, to be fair. We just play a lot of this really attacking, high pressing, really attacking football. And they were saying some stats before the match. They said that Bosnia, out of all the teams in the European qualifying section, had the most fouls. And of all the teams in the competition, Wales were number 1 for getting the ball back in 5 seconds. So we have extremely high pressing, sort of counter-attacking football. We play really attractively. We knock it around, we pass the ball around, we have high possession. But we just can't put it into the back of the net. We are relying on people like Dan James to score for us, when, he doesn't even score for Leeds. He doesn't even play for Leeds a lot of the time. So he scored an absolute screamer. Carl Darlow did a world-class save. He did another one against Northern Ireland on Tuesday, so he's definitely our number 1 at the moment. We haven't had a good keeper for a while, so that's one problem ticked off the list. As you can see, lots of possession, expected goals higher than Bosnia, total shots higher. We hit the post twice. Harry Wilson chipped the goalkeeper from outside the box, hit the upright. Dan James run through after he'd scored his goal, and hit the crossbar. We just couldn't put in the back of the net. Not saying that Bosnia didn't have chances. First half was very quiet apart from that Harry Wilson post miss. Second half we were all over them for spells. We scored We hit the post then shortly after, and then at that point Bellamy made his mistake and he took off David Brooks. Now Jordan James went off because he was injured. He was fantastic. Liam Cullen is too offensive in this pattern. I was hoping he would bring on Sheehan to shore up the defence and back up Ampadu, who was carrying a knock. But he put on Liam Cullen, and Liam Cullen just didn't play well at all. We lost the midfield battle. Then Mark Harris came on for David Brooks, and we couldn't keep it up front. And at that point, they made changes, and Dan James was absolutely exhausted at this point. Sorbatos came on and did brilliantly. People were really angry that Brennan Johnson stayed on. He literally did nothing for the entire match, and then he ended up missing a penalty. I'll talk about him in a second because I've got a bit of a theory. Because he unfortunately on Tuesday came off the bench against Northern Ireland and got booed, which we don't boo anyone who plays for us. You know, when Dan James missed his penalty against Poland 2 years ago to not qualify for the Euros, we've never ever booed him. So he's just so frustrating at the minute. How he gets the ball on the wing, passes it backwards, and doesn't take on his man, doesn't do anything. So I think people got really tired of him just not performing for Wales. I'll come back to him in a second though. Edin Dzeko then scored from a corner that never should have been a corner. Liam Cullen no one was around him and he just kicked it into touch by the back post. He could have cleared it easily. This team of absolute monsters, the tallest nation along with the Netherlands in Europe, against one of the shorter ones. Edin Dzeko didn't do anything all night, and then he scored from a corner. But he keeps doing that. He's scored 70-something goals for Bosnia. He does very little, but every goal comes through him. In Italy, against the Italians, he provided the goal, so every goal seems to go through him. And then we were literally all over them in extra time. They didn't have a single attack that I remember. And then we were going to penalties, and I thought, we're going to lose, because you know how technically gifted teams from the Balkans are. Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia. They just can strike a ball, they control the ball, they're just amazing at it. And I thought, this is it, we don't have that class. Obviously, Harry Wilson scored first. Then we saved from Demirovic, which I was shocked at. Obviously, Caldano having a fantastic night. Mark Harris, poor penalty, but scored. And then their penalties were like something out of FIFA. It was like top bins all the way. Brennan Johnson then skied it, trying to go top bins, and Nico had his saved, and we were out. And as soon as we went to penalties, I thought, that's it. In extra time, Harry Wilson was one-on-one, and this defender came from literally nowhere and headed it. It was going in the back of the net. He just shot. And I literally was like, it's a goal. I didn't see this defender, and he came from nowhere and just headed it practically off the line. Like, they were defensively incredible. But we just need a striker. So once again, we were, playing brilliantly, playing entertaining football, and not getting through when it mattered. I have an answer to this question though. I think we should play Brennan Johnson as a striker, because he's very good in the air compared to the rest of our team, who are tiny. And he's just a very instinctive football player in terms of where he stands on set pieces, corners, second balls. He clearly doesn't want to play out wide. Like, he doesn't take on his man ever. And he's really low on confidence. I think we just need to let him do what Dzeko does and just literally do nothing for 86 minutes and then get the goal that we need. He will close people down. He is willing to do that. He's got pace to do it. But I think that people have assumed because he's this really fast, good dribbler, that he wants to be taking people on. He clearly doesn't. And I think we actually just need to play him up front. Bale used to just drift out of matches. He used to win us the matches, but he wouldn't be doing something for 90 minutes straight. He's not that player. And I don't think Brennan is either. But remember how many goals he scored for Tottenham that season under Ange. just by drifting in, when it was being played down the left-hand side, if he was on the right, he'd just come at the back post and then get a knock-in or a header. He needs to just be in that area for us. But if he's on the wing, he's being asked to do a different job, and as Spurs players know, he can't do that job. So I think we just need to, obviously he's had a 50 million transfer, now a 30 million transfer, 80 million in transfer fees. He's clearly got talent, he's clearly good, but we're just not using him in the right way. And we don't even have a striker. What harm is it going to do? As long as it's understood that he's closing down and waiting for his opportunity. Mark Harris, who can't even get in the Oxford team, can't hit a barn door. He came on and we just looked terrible with him up front. So if you're just going to have someone who runs around up front, choose him. If you want someone who's actually going to put the ball in the back of the net, Brennan Johnson is the one for you. So I'm hoping at some point that message gets through to Bellamy, because playing that wide and leaving Rabi Matondo on the bench, who can run past people, who can take people on, can get a yellow card, can get a free kick, is criminal. And Sorba Thomas was on the bench for ages till he came on for Dan James, who was our best player apart from the goalkeeper. So yeah, very upsetting, because we actually played really well, and that's the thing that was the most heartbreaking. I managed to watch the highlights up to extra time, and yeah, we were really good. Bosnia obviously extremely good in defence, play to their strengths, which are the fact that they're all 6'7" monsters, and they're very good from set pieces, and they're very technically gifted. Their wingers are really fast and able to dribble and pass and cross, which gets the ball into this front two of very talented players. So if they play to their strengths, they know that Dzeko can't run in behind. They don't do that. They play it wide. Those players run in behind and cross the ball from the byline and get it to Dzeko, who either scores or sets up whoever's next to him. We need to start playing that way with the players that we have. We've got very few players in Wales. We need to play to our strengths. And then in the final, obviously, we had... Is it a shock at this point? Italy, the only World Cup nation to have been a previous winner and not qualified 3 times in a row. So Moise Kean, with apparently a gift from the goalkeeper that was amazing against us, just gifted the ball to Barella, who squared it to Moise Kean, who scored 5 in 5, which is some record, I think, for Italy. So well done to him, because I know he gets a lot of criticism. And then the most hated man in Italy, probably before this match, but definitely now, is Baroni, who apparently Italy were playing an extremely high line, which obviously, blah, yada yada yada, if Wales had got there we would have loved, because we can't play against teams that sit in like Northern Ireland did the other night, like Bosnia did. And like Poland did 2 years ago. We really can't play against those teams, but if you play high line against us, you're stuffed, because we've got all of the pace out on wide and through the middle. So yeah, Bosnia just Bastoni run in, chased his man, slide tackle, missed the ball, straight red just before half time. And then the Italians were absolutely under siege for the whole of the second half. Tabakovic scored the 1 goal, but apparently it could have been 3 or 4. I've read that Italy did miss a couple of gilt edge chances, so obviously they still could have got through despite the red card. But then when it went to penalties, I had absolutely no doubt in my mind, and this is exactly what happened. I was listening to commentary, and apparently, again, all of them are like from a video game. They just have insane technical ability, particularly from set pieces. And yeah, they made it to the World Cup, so congratulations. I know Canada was saying that they wanted to have Italy because they would be playing them in whichever city, I think it was Ottawa or Calgary, can't remember where, wherever there's like this enormous population of Italians living in Canada, or, you know, Italian descendants. and they really wanted to have the former world champions in their group. But they got Bosnia, and I'm telling you now, Canada, watch out, because Bosnia are not going to lose to anyone easily. And obviously they've a 1-1 against us, 1 on penalties, a 1-1 against Italy, so they haven't actually in 90 minutes won. However, you can still get out of the group with 3 draws. So if they get through the group, remember that year, was it 4 years ago or 8 years ago, where Croatia basically got to the final on penalties, and Morocco basically did it 4 years ago as well. Bosnia could be that team. Like, they genuinely are insane at penalties. Absolutely all of them are so good. So look out. Commiserations obviously to Italy. I would have been supporting them. Most people would, I think, as their second team. They're such a massive team to miss out on the World Cup, but they've got some really big problems, and I think they need to look at their league, which I watch week in, week out, and do something about the youngsters that aren't coming through, and the facilities, the stadiums, the investment. They just need to go from absolutely grassroots level. Obviously there's still a massive passion for football in Italy. It's, the absolute obsession of the country. So this will really hurt, but maybe it's the, covering over the cracks, winning the Euros against England a couple of years ago, just after COVID. It was 2020, 2021 I think it happened in. I think that sort of papered over the cracks a little bit, and the problems have been there for a long time now, and I think that they seriously need to consider changing everything from top to bottom in order to get back where they deserve to be, for the amount of passion that they have and the history that they've got in the World Cup and European Championships. Because this year particularly you can see their teams not competing well in Europe either. So it's crisis time in Italy. Rumours that Gattuso might not lose his job, which I think is absurd. I do not like him. But the manager isn't the issue really. It's a lot deeper than that. The fact that they've only got Moise Kean up front and Retegui, who plays in Saudi Arabia. Pio Esposito, I suppose, is a good youngster coming through, but one good youngster in a team, Italy should have, who have got a larger population than England, should have the facilities to have a similar credential of player coming through. But if you look at England's youngsters compared to Italy's youngsters, it's not the same at all. If you compare Italy's youngsters to even Barcelona's academy, not the whole of Spain, but Barcelona's, they just don't have that quality. So yeah, the other shock was this one. Czechia 2-2 with Denmark and put them out on penalties. Kritsi scored again, and then Hög from Bode Glimt to get 2 penalties, but Czechia beat them on penalties, and I did not see it coming. But congratulations to Czechia, who have qualified for the first World Cup in many, many years. They are through, and Denmark are out. What a huge shock there. So both of those I got wrong so far. Turkey did get through, Turkey, but after 24 years, I remember them in the World Cup. I was in university. They were amazing. I will be watching all their games. They play such a lovely, attractive, attacking form of football, similar to what Wales do, really. And games between Turkey and Wales recently have been very good to watch as well for neutrals. And I think that they'll light up the World Cup. Commiserations to Kosovo, who, the youngest country in Europe, nearly made it to the World Cup on their second qualification campaign. They've got such a big chance to qualify for things in the future. They're doing so well, really punching above their weight with their small population. And then Turkey was the only one I did think would qualify. I thought they'd qualify easier than they did. But Sweden, they came so low in their qualifying group, only in it because of the Nations League. And they managed to beat Poland. Nikola Zalewski did his best. He scored and then set up Świderski But Elanga, Lagerbielke and Gyökeres, that man again, 4 goals in 2 games. Sweden are off to the World Cup. Who would have thought that? Last November, in that really difficult draw with Ukraine and Poland, and they've made it through. Very shocking. So yeah, I didn't see Bosnia, I didn't see Czechia, and I didn't see Sweden getting through. So let's have a little look how that affects the World Cup then. So in the Group A, Mexico, whose form has got better recently, they just had a very good draw with Belgium in a friendly. They now have Czechia in their group, South Africa and South Korea. I think in that situation, Mexico now could top that group, because I was expecting to see either Republic of Ireland or Denmark. I thought Denmark would probably top the group. So I think Mexico on form would probably win, and Czechia would come second, South Korea third, and South Africa fourth. Switzerland for me is still favourites in this group, but I think based on what they've just done, Bosnia could come second, and Canada could be in for a bit of a shock, because if Canada's attitude was, oh, they're not Italy, then they're going to have a very rude awakening. They are a very classy team. Good luck to them, I say. So I'm going to say Switzerland top, Bosnia second, Canada third, and Qatar bottom. This group hasn't changed. Brazil, Haiti, Morocco, Scotland. Scotland form is very wobbly at the moment. To be honest with you, Brazil isn't much better, so I think Morocco could actually top that group. Australia, Paraguay, Turkey and USA. Based on the USA's current form, I think Turkey will top that group, with USA second, and it's going to be very tight between Paraguay and Australia for third. I'm not going to pin my hat on which one. Both of them can get third, but if they draw with each other, then they'll probably both go out, because I think you need 3 points at least with a 0 goal difference or better to get through in third place. So one of those will need to beat each other in that match, and whoever wins that match, I'm sure will get third place. Group E, Curaçao, Ecuador, Germany, Ivory Coast. No changes there, but I am sticking to my guns. Ecuador still think are going to shock some people in this competition. Ivory Coast will do well. So Germany top, Ecuador second, Ivory Coast third, Curaçao fourth. Well, Japan, haven't they been getting some good results? Beating England and Scotland. And they beat Brazil recently, maybe the end of last year. So Sweden obviously will think that they can get through, but I think Japan and the Netherlands are going to vie for top place in that group. Remember, Japan did beat Spain in the last World Cup to get through, so I'm thinking maybe Japan top at the minute, because the Dutch are struggling with some players being out of form, particularly the ones playing for Spurs. And, you know, Depay apparently is not playing all that well. Who are they going to have up front? Japan is an absolutely finished team. So maybe Japan top. Dutch second, Sweden third. Depends what form Gyökeres is in, I guess. And I'm going to talk about Belgium briefly, because I've been so impressed with their results recently. They hammered the USA, drew with Mexico. Lukaku's back. Luke Bacchio is playing well. They've got some really good youngsters, so I think they're going to easily get out of this group. I never really doubted they would anyway, but I was a bit down on them in the qualifying campaign, because they couldn't beat Kazakhstan, they couldn't beat North Macedonia home and away, they only just beat Wales. But they're improving, actually, and I think that they will do pretty well. Definitely top in that group. We'll see what happens with the Iran situation. I don't want to talk about it now, but we'll see what happens. If it all stays like this, I think it'll be Belgium top, Egypt second. They just drew with Spain without Mohamed Salah playing. Iran third and New Zealand fourth. Group H, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Uruguay. I think Spain top, obviously. They're my favourites to win the competition. Uruguay second. Third, I'm not sure. Saudi Arabia maybe, but Cape Verde could be. And in this difficult group, France, Norway, Senegal and Iraq, I believe it is. Let me just double check. Yeah, DR Congo is there, so it's Iraq. So, oh god, Iraq have got an absolutely awful group. France top, Norway second, Senegal third. Could be anything in between. Iraq are going to have a very difficult tournament, unfortunately. Algeria, Argentina, Austria, Jordan. Argentina top, Austria second, Algeria third, or vice versa, and Jordan fourth. Jordan decent team, but another very difficult group. Then Colombia, DR Congo, Portugal, and Uzbekistan. I think Portugal top, Colombia second, with then Uzbekistan maybe getting third in that group. Maybe, again, same as I said about Australia earlier on, if Uzbekistan beat Congo, they'll come third and maybe get through, but a draw will not help either team. And last one, Croatia, England, Ghana, Panama. I think England top, Croatia second, or vice versa, and then Ghana in third with Panama bottom. Do you agree? What do you think about everything that's happened over the last week? Big thank you to all of the comments that I'm probably going to get commiserating with me about Wales. Obviously, it's hurting. We're all absolutely gutted here in Wales, but we still play really nice football. We've got a big Nations League campaign coming up with Portugal, so Ronaldo's coming to Cardiff. Then we've got Denmark and Norway, so Erling Haaland. We got to try and stay in that group, keep our seeds high. We do very rubbish in friendlies in general. And then we get the draw in December for the European Championships, and everyone in the group top only qualifies. So there's going to be, I think, I haven't looked at the structure, but maybe there's going to be quite a lot of groups, maybe something like 12. First place qualifies automatically. Second places, a couple of them will also qualify. And if either Republic of Ireland, Scotland, England, or Wales don't qualify, I don't think it is for Northern Ireland, I'm not sure though, then they will be put into the playoff to get through. So, yeah, I think Wales have to try and aim to at least come second, if not top of their group, because the first game of the European Championship in 2 years' time starts in our big stadium, the Principality or Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, the 73,001. So we definitely want to be there to open the party. So that's what we have to focus on now, and finding us a striker. If any of you can score goals and you've had some cockles and lava bread in your life, or had some Welsh cakes, or have maybe wandered into Wales by accident, give us a ring. The Welsh FA would love to speak to you. Okay, thanks everyone. Like the video, do subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me all about your thoughts on Italy, Wales, Bosnia, Denmark, Republic of Ireland, the recent friendly matches with the USA, Canada, etc. And I look forward to hearing from you. Take care everyone.